Welcome to the Personal Injury Law Show. This show that talks about everything current in the law of personal injuries and relevant to you, the viewer. My name's Tony Carbone. I'm a personal injury lawyer of over 25 years experience. With me tonight I've got John Carancis, a work cover partner in a law firm.
Hi Tony, hi Don, hi viewers.
And Don Maffia, the transport accident partner in a law firm. Good evening, Don.
Good evening, Tony. Good evening, viewers. John.
Tonight, viewers, we're going to be talking about TAC's current road campaign to do with motorcycles. And I've got Sam Cockfield, who's a Senior Road Safety Manager at the Transport Accident Commission. So please stay tuned for that.
However, Tony, before we get to that, what's in the news?
Look, viewers, there's been a lot of stories, but John, this is right up your alley, this one.
Oh,
there's
yes.
an enormous amount of companies that have been fined for breaches of OH&S laws and regulations.
Tony, 9 companies have been fined a total of $250,000 for breaches of, in essence, safe practices at work, Tony. People have been injured, people have been severely impaired, hospitalised as a result of literally, Tony, the employers not doing the right thing. And
Don, just on that issue, there's a couple of instances here, say construction sites, where they failed to comply with safe practices like make sure that people aren't walking past while a boom's up and things like that. I mean, it's just outrageous that in today's society we've still got these goings on.
Well, Tony, it's employer beware. You must provide a safe place for your employees to work. And some examples, like they've demolished asbestos-containing sheets in a shed or some sort of building without the proper equipment to do that. So, and then there's other
also
things,
not notifying the other people around them to keep them away.
Yeah, and then of course, then there's hit by forklift.
Which is quite often.
Quite often, this is hit by a forklift and trapped.
Yeah, so a worker is walking along and he's been hit by a forklift. Look, there has to be proper care taken.
What about this one here? The company was found that it failed to enforce a no-go zone near power lines during tree felling work. How many times have people been electrocuted in those circumstances?
Oh, quite often, and we've seen that, haven't we, Tony?
It's just
quite
bizarre.
often.
It's just crazy.
Employers, you need to do the right thing. And also at the same time, Tony, we applaud the WorkSafe Victoria investigating these breaches.
Exactly.
If anything, they need to investigate further.
Well, resources is the biggest issue, isn't it, though?
Yeah, and it's not reinventing the wheel, because these are just simple, plain safety measures that an employer can take. Like, for example, ensuring that the zone or the place they're demolishing, there's a no-go zone. It's simple, guarding on machines, just simple things that an employer can do to ensure the safety of employees.
It's just history repeating itself all the time.
It's a timely reminder because, as we know, more than 15 people have died in workplace accidents this year, Tony.
Exactly.
And it's occurring too often.
Exactly. Hey, Don, what about this council worker who was spied on and then lost his job? I mean, are we going too far? I mean,
Wyndham Council have lost the plot, Tony.
So Wyndham Council have employed or hired a private investigator to go on the work sites to spy on the council workers, because there's allegations of drinking on the job, even drugs and all these
shock
things.
horror.
And then someone was sacked as a result of that, but then they got no right of reply.
Well, the investigator investigated, submitted a report, and the council acted on the report without affording
asking
a right
for an
of reply.
explanation.
It could be also entrapment. How do we know this private investigator's gone out there with great intentions?
Exactly.
So you may have set all this up. We don't know. It's just
What is this black ops operation, conducted by the council?
Has this worker got the right to go to the federal court and ask for damages for adverse action?
Well, he does, Tony, yes.
Because, I mean, I would have thought that if you're spying on someone, which is a massive breach of your privacy, that you could go to the federal court, general protections, and ask for damages in those
Tony,
circumstances.
for the viewers, what is an adverse protection, just quickly?
Well, an adverse action at work is something that the employer has done that adversely affects you, the worker,
Yes.
and you've suffered as a result. So,
And you can make a claim for that.
well, in this case, he's lost his job,
Yeah.
and he's been reinstated. But instead of going for the reinstatement, he could have asked for damages, couldn't he, John?
And as we know, the damages is unlimited
Unlimited.
in adverse actions.
And if you had suffered severe psychological reaction, I know you want to go onto this, John, but we're not.
No.
He could also get damages for that.
Exactly.
From the federal court.
Look, it just goes to show, some of these councils, Tony, and I've talked about Darebin City Council quite often, but the Wyndham
times, John.
Council here they need to explain themselves.
What about, something that you keep warning your clients not to do? Watch out for Google and
yes.
also Facebook, because a lot of people are getting caught out where
Yes.
they've got injuries, and then they go onto Facebook and Google and say, hey, look, I was on this trip recently and I'm bungee jumping and all this.
Yes.
And it sort of
Yes.
detracts from them having a back injury, neck injury, shoulders.
Exactly.
Correct.
Look, it's this age, this computer age, Tony, and especially Generation Y, everyone's on Facebook, everyone's on Twitter, on Google, and that's all fair enough. But in the end, Tony, if you've got an injury and then you're acting in a way that does not accord with the way you say the injuries are affecting you, well, it's really your own stupidity, isn't it, Tony?
It is,
Well-
but people also embellish, don't they?
Yeah,
John?
but this is more so looking at people who have, for example, photos of them doing sporting activities when they allege they've been injured. I mean, they're clearly, unfortunately, cheats.
Yes.
But it's
Yes.
it's not so much doing a tweet or whatever saying I've gone here. This is where people have gone out, gone surfing, and have told their employer that I'm injured. I can't come.
Well,
to
we're
work.
talking
But isn't
about
it a case
we're
of-
talking about a Comcare circular, and it's quite interesting. There's one part: the manager should stay alert when talking to an injured worker on the telephone, according to Comcare's advice, for background noise that might indicate home renovations in progress
That's
or the
insane.
claimant looking after children. Oh no, Tony! Therefore, he doesn't have a claim.
It's
Yeah,
insane,
It's just
isn't it?
ludicrous.
But it's
Ludicrous.
look, I think at the end of the day, they're using this social media as another means of, like the council,
Watching.
investigating, watching
It's
people.
Big
So
Brother. It's
beware.
1984 again, Tony.
But the thing is, isn't it a case of the viewer being aware of what they say that can be used against them? Isn't that really the case?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. This is one that worries me. There's quotas being put on people working in these hospitals to discharge people with severe psychiatric injuries so that they can meet the quotas.
So this is where the hospitals are discharging patients early just to meet the quotas to free up the beds, and where they're mentally ill or mentally unstable, send them home can lead to disaster.
Do they get bonuses or something for meeting their quotas? Or
Exactly,
is there,
Tony.
Do they?
Yes, they get
Or is it-
bonuses, and this is...
Is that right? Is that?
Yes.
Do they?
Yes.
Okay.
I understand they get bonuses, and they want people out as quick as possible, Tony. Again, this goes to the whole issue of funding for hospitals.
Yeah, and there's one case example where that woman was sent home. She went into hospital. She was mentally unwell and unstable. Sent her home and she suicided. So
Yeah, well, that's been
the end
known to happen
result.
quite a
So
And it's a warning, because these institutions, they are liable for any negligent conduct, aren't they, Tony?
Exactly. And there's been a lot of instances I've seen over the years.
Exactly.
Look, we've got to go to the sponsor break soon, but John, I don't want to discriminate against you. What's the difference between a souvlaki and a kebab?
There's this fight.
Sorry, you're
There's a
Greek.
fight, kebab versus souvlaki. Now, anyone that's European knows that a kebab is from the Middle East and a souvlaki is from Greece.
John,
it's
I'm
as
from
simple
Europe,
as
but I
that.
didn't know
is there a difference, John?
Oh, there's a difference. It's the way it's prepared, and it's the way the meat is prepared. A kebab is a kebab is a kebab. It's from the Middle East. A souvlaki is from Greece. It's totally different meat, and it goes into the preparation, Tony.
So you're
the
saying, which one do you prefer?
Well, I'm Greek, so
It's got to be souvlaki.
I love my souvlaki.
But this fight, well, this is the fight about whether or not a fish and chip shop next to a kebab shop, the fish and chip shop can sell souvlakis. So the whole difference
It's
is.
just a put on to get some free
Oh, it's a great publicity
great.
stunt. But
Anyway.
Go try
it just goes to show, don't mess with the souvlaki king, okay, Tony?
No, exactly.
This is what I-
Viewers, we're going to go to a sponsors break. Stay tuned for Sam Cockfield from TAC. Viewers, welcome back to the show. Tonight we're fortunate to have Sam Cockfield, the Senior Transport Accident Manager for Road Safety at TAC. Good evening, Sam. How are you?
Good evening, very well.
The title sort of speaks for itself, but your objective is to keep road accidents and deaths down. Is that correct, Sam?
Yep, our eventual aim is to have nobody killed or injured on Victoria's roads.
I know you won't be able to prevent injuries, but I'm sure that we can cut down the number of deaths.
Oh, look, we're actually
serious
aiming
injuries.
to eventually have 0 fatalities and almost nobody seriously injured on our roads in Victoria, and we're going really well with that aim at the moment.
That'd be a perfect society, wouldn't it, Don?
Wood and Sam, you are in your department responsible for all these ads that we see on the TV and have seen them for many, many years now.
Yeah.
These very graphic and I think really well prepared ads that really get down to the bottom of it all, and that is trying to reduce the road toll,
Yeah.
trying to reduce the accidents.
Sam, your most recent campaign's been directed at motorcycle riders.
Yes.
And that's because the number of accidents involving them is very, very high. Is that correct?
Yeah, look, motorcyclists are very vulnerable road users. They obviously don't have the same protection as car occupants. And really, I suppose you could look at them a little bit like pedestrians travelling really fast. They represent about 1% of travel on our roads, but about 20% of the trauma picture in terms of fatalities and serious injuries, and certainly around 20% of the TAC's claims costs. So it's for a small number of people, they're really very vulnerable, and we need to do everything we can to protect them from being killed or seriously injured.
Don, you've represented quite a few motorcyclists over the years. When they do have an accident, it's pretty horrific, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And look, they're on two wheels, and just a little bit of even if it's a little nudge from a car or something, they're off. And they're
Yeah.
on gravel, they're on road, and they sustain significant injuries. I think one of the stats, Sam, is that a lot of these injuries are all, which I see as well, all limbs, all lower limbs
Yeah.
injuries, broken legs, the whole lot. So there's not much protection. You've got nothing around you, Tony.
No. Well, I mean, a lot of it's the gloving type injuries where you skid along the ground and it takes.
I think people underestimate those sort of degloving and very severe skin abrasions about how much time it actually takes to get over those sort of injuries. And we've seen people, go back for 5, 6, 7 operations in terms
Exactly.
of skin grafts, etc. after those sort of injuries. So what you might think isn't that significant can be very life-changing for some people.
And Sam, in 2012, there was 41 riders or pillion passengers killed in these sorts of accidents, which is pretty high, isn't it?
Yeah, and a lot of these crashes are actually happening on recreational rides. So out in the country where people are, I suppose, really just out for a weekend, they've got plenty of time and they really think that nothing's likely to happen. So that's really what the focus of our new campaign is about.
Well, the new campaign, Don, do you know much about it? Or
Yeah, the new campaign is, as I see it, Sam, it's more of a rider awareness approach.
It is.
And I think in the campaign there's like 3 scenarios of the rider can be facing on. It looks like I think it was a Great Ocean Road or something, a recreational ride, where there's cars turning in front of you. There's cars, or this case was a tractor, merging into the road without giving way. And the other one, which is quite happens often, is like gravel or dirt left on the road.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even left on the road. It literally is just a bit of a landfall and ends up there, and there's just no way to predict that, and nothing anybody can do about it immediately after it happens. So what we're really trying to do in terms of this campaign is to talk to riders about the risks they face, whether it's the risk from other motorists, whether it's the natural sort of type risk from soil, gravel, etc. on the road, even if it's animals on the road, and sometimes just road conditions, and remind them that these risks are out there every time they ride, and there's a lot they can do to actually reduce the risks themselves. So take control yourself and really think about your ride. And as much as it's lovely to be out there on the Great Ocean Road and those some of those country winding roads, that really just a bit of precautionary action can actually make all the difference between getting home safely and having had a great ride and not being in a hospital bed.
Well, Sam, there's 80%, this is your own statistics, of these accidents seem to occur between 12 noon and 4 p.m, Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah.
So what you just said is very pertinent, isn't it?
And that's the thing. I think it was quite surprising to us to find out how many crashes actually happened during recreational rides. So, as I said, people just heading out to the country, to Great Ocean Road, to the ranges, and really having a nice time. They're not in a particular rush, they're just enjoying themselves, and somehow they end up having a crash. And so this campaign really highlights the key risk you might face on those sort of rides. And one of the things we've done with this campaign is actually backed it up with a series of documentary style videos, just with an experienced motorcycle trainer, talking about some of these risks and the types of issues you might face, but also the things you might do to mitigate the risks when you're out there. So our spokes.com.au website has got lots of information, and it's got these documentary style videos on there, and they're really quite interesting, and the riders that have been involved in developing the campaign and have seen it have given us really positive feedback.
Don, initially I think the TAC had a lot of resistance from the motorcycle riders because they thought they were being discriminated against, in the sense that the impression was that they caused most of the accidents. But
I don't think that was the intention. I think it is that their view was that, well, we're being discriminated or pointed at as being the people at fault, the reckless riders and all that. But this campaign goes to show, and look, having practiced so many years in this area, that the accident, 9 times out of 10, it's not the rider's fault, it's the other driver's fault or the other road user, Tony. And those examples in this current campaign, I see it time and time again. There's 3 scenarios, or there's lots of scenarios, but it's generally other road users not looking looking appropriately to see what's going around them. So, and I think this campaign here just goes straight down to the bottom of it all, is that, look, as a rider, you have to be aware, because when you're on the road there, you're out on your own, there's no cage around you, there's no metal around you, anything can happen, and that's why you've got to be on risk. And the funny thing is, Tony, riders that have a better reaction time than you and I as a driver.
exactly.
Quicker
Well, they've
reaction
got to be
time.
on their mettle, because their reaction time's probably less than the driver, because the car moves slower than a bike.
Yep.
Sam, I do like the ads because they sort of put the rider in a situation of, this is what could happen.
The perfect ride is the one where none of these things happen, but the chances are something might go wrong, and you've got to be prepared for that. And,
But effectively, you're saying to the rider, look, this is what you're doing, but this is what could eventuate around the corner. Or this is
Exactly
what
right.
could happen in this circumstance.
And, as you say, they are the sort of circumstances that people face all the time. So it's just a reminder, really, for most motorcyclists.
Viewers, we've got to go to a sponsors break, so stay tuned. After the break, we'll be back with Sam Cockfield and Don to discuss this issue. Viewers, welcome back to the show. Sam, what's really impressive about your current campaign, the TAC has copped a lot of flack about some recent changes to the law involving psychiatric injuries. and that's because there was a lack of consultation. But in this instance, your current campaign, A Perfect Ride, there was an enormous amount of consultation with motorcycle riders. Can you give us some examples of what actually happened to get them on board?
Yeah, look, most of our campaigns, we actually have quite a lot of involvement from the target group. But in this particular instance, we invited a range of motorcycle rider groups and representatives to come along. They were involved from the time of writing the scripts right through to the shooting of the campaign, the market research we did with the general community, right through to the post-production till the final campaign, and they're really involved. They're quite excited to be involved, but I think in terms of the final product, it really showed in that it was an ad and a campaign that riders really got involved in. So it was great consultation. It was great to have everybody involved, but I suppose the best thing was the end product, which was the campaign.
And I also love, Don, the safety issues and online tutorials.
Yes.
Deal with a number of issues, including, what are the main things they deal with?
Yeah, so deal with speed, cornering, so going around corners, with road position, road surfaces, quite important as well, like we're discussing it, and also other users and objects as well. And Sam, you also, TAC went to the MotoGP and you had that tent set up and everything, so you got a lot of information, no doubt, and consultation with the motorcycling groups through those avenues as well.
Yeah, look, it's a great venue for us to talk to motorcyclists. We probably talk there to motorcyclists about wearing protective clothing. And this year, the motorcyclists who came through the gate in full protective clothing often got an opportunity to come to a marquee where they could actually watch some of the MotoGP from. So that was a great opportunity. But we also talked to them about new technologies for bikes, because ABS and traction control for bikes is a great new technology. It's now quite cheap. It's a very, I suppose, light technology, so it's not going to affect the performance of the bike. And really, it's another life-saving avenue for motorcyclists. So when you buy your next bike, certainly make sure it's got ABS on it.
Sam, you've got these online tips and tutorials from bike riders.
Yes.
There's one by Adida Hildebrand. He talks about practice your skills and get to know your bike.
Yeah.
So is there a lot of instances where people get on these bikes thinking, okay, all I do is just get up there, throttle the thing and I'm off? A bit more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I don't know how many incidences, but one of the things is people like to have a go at their friends' bikes. They swap bikes fairly frequently, as in buy new bikes and upgrade, etc. So it's really important to get to know your bike. And in fact, one of the tutorials does actually touch on this. It's about making sure that you get to know your bike before you push the bike's limits and truly understand it, because they all do have different handling capabilities and handling types. So.
Sam, I've got a good example of when I was a kid, albeit it wasn't a motorcycle, it was a push bike. A friend gave me a lend of his bike, and I'm coming down this hill and I've hit the brakes on the handlebars and I flipped the bike over. I nearly killed myself. Now, when I got up and dusted myself off and limping away, the friend said, when you come down the hill, you're supposed to use your foot brake. I said, well, you could have told me. I mean, I didn't know any of this. So that's a good example of what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you're going to get someone else's bike, ask them the idiosyncrasies or the important characteristics of the bike.
Braking is the perfect example. Braking on different bikes can be very different. So it's probably one of the first things you really need to start practicing is, how does this bike brake? You know, what's the touch and feel of the brakes? So it's a really good example you use.
Yeah, I mean, you really need to know the equipment. Don, what about this other? I like this other one. Robert Camilleri of Pascoval Self gives his views about anticipate the error. That's on mine again.
Right. Yep, exactly right. And that's what we've said. I mean, the motorcycle riders have a quicker reaction time than drivers, as they should be, and that's why it's a lot. It's a lot of educating, training, and all those things. So I want to put some more figures to you, just percentage figures, and these are your figures, our TSC figures. Yeah, 2012, 41 motorcyclists were killed, unfortunately. 93% were male. Now, this is a stat that still, I can't believe it's happening. 96 of the motorcycle riders say they're wearing motorcycle helmets, but there was still 4% that were not wearing motorcycle helmets. that's a bit concerning.
Yeah, look, and mainly that people who are riding helmets are going to be in sort of more, when I say
vulnerable.
off-road, they're certainly more vulnerable. There's, to be really honest, there's almost no chance of survival, certainly survival without serious injury if you don't have a helmet on. We know that helmets are your number one protective device. You haven't got a cage, at least protect your head. Luckily, most of these circumstances where people don't have helmets on, and when I say luckily, they're normally not on the open road. They're often on people just travelling between properties, kids who've unfortunately decided to take a ride without a helmet on. But it's unbelievable that people in this day and age would think of even getting on a bike without a helmet, but also without full protective gear on, because most people also own protective gear, and sometimes they just take that risk of saying, just around the corner, it's too hot.
Yeah.
I just can't be bothered today, and unfortunately, that's often when the crash occurs.
I've got another example. My youngest boy was on his push bike in the backyard, and he wouldn't wear his helmet, and I had to go at him. I told him off. I said, if you don't put that helmet on, you're not going to ride your bike. So he put on his helmet. Lo and behold, he's come off his bike, hit the ground, cracked his helmet. Now, if it wasn't for the helmet, who knows what would have happened to him.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's important. It doesn't matter where you are, viewers. You've got to comply with the road rules. They're there for a purpose. I mean, Sam doesn't go to work saying, geez, I need you guys getting injured, so I've got a job. It's not like that, is it, Sam?
No,
You're going to get paid either way.
Yeah, believe me that our aim, and I think it'll be my lifetime's work, is to really get our road toll down to zero, and hopefully also no serious injuries. But certainly there's still quite a few happening in this day.
And also, Don and Sam, a lot of the issues about driver safety and education, doesn't it come back to the parents? Because, see, I've also got 2 young boys, and I said, they're not getting on a bike, that's it. I didn't buy a motorbike myself because I know that being involved in the law and the number of accidents I've seen over the years involving motorcyclists, and no one's come out of it with anything but a major injury. They don't come out with scratches, that's for sure. I said, look, you're going to have an accident. It's a rule of thumb. We're going to have an accident, aren't we, Sam? The reality is, you're going to have in a car, you're going to have a little bingle, or it could be a major bingle, but on a motorcycle, every bingle's a major bingle.
Well, and that's the big difference. Most people will have some sort of scrape in a vehicle over their lifetime. Very few people actually get seriously injured, and of course, thank goodness, very, very few people get killed. But, the reality, I think, and why I'm here, is that we can prevent nearly all of these crashes. Very few of the crashes can not be prevented, and really, just by everybody obeying the road laws, wearing helmets, doing the right thing, we're going to prevent and stop a lot of injuries.
Sam, tell us about the TAC's World First campaign for parents to look after their kids.
Yeah, look, it's really dreadful that the most at-risk people on our roads are first-year drivers. When you first get out solo on your licence, that's the highest risk time. You're 30 times more likely to be killed or injured than when you're on your learners. This campaign is about telling parents about that level of risk, but also keeping them involved, making sure that they actually still know what's happening with their kids, picking them up from parties, making sure they know how they're getting home, just really trying to keep involved and keep that risk down so that we survive the first year of driving and continue on safely from there on.
Well, Sam, if they want to be in touch with you, they can go to the TAC website, isn't that correct?
That's right. So if you're a motorcyclist, go to spokes.com.au. Lots of information about rider safety there. And the TAC safety website too has got more general information for any other road users.
And Don, anything else you'd like to add?
If you're involved in an accident, be sure to contact a lawyer who may be able to assist you. And also you can contact the TAC as well to lodge your claim and go through that process as well.
Sam, thanks for coming on board. We'll get you on board in the future.
Thanks for
Don,
having me.
Thanks for being on board. Viewers, thanks for watching. Go to our past episodes, go to the website, stay tuned for future episodes, and always remember to stay safe.